We're back. This is the first episode I've done for the 2021 season with the Barrie Colts. We're coming off a big Memorial Cup victory, which was really cool. And I figured I would simulate a little bit to get a sense of how the season's going so far with these guys. So we're still kind of early, but kind of turned it around here. We started a little bit slow, actually. I think we're 5-5. We're actually in last place for a couple of weeks. The division's extremely strong this year. We got every single team is in positive, and last place was me and I think it was like me and Sudbury. We're both at 10-6, and we're last place, tied. North Bay Battalion started on fire. They were like 15-3 or 5 or something, and they've cooled off a little bit. I've been on a nice little streak here. Yeah, I've won 6 in a row. And so now everyone's good. We got Mississauga was really good last year because they had the best player in the league, that Lucas Raymond import pick. This year they still have the two studs, both first round picks in real life. Was James Hardy, the Barrie boy. Actually, he has actually been the best player in the league this year. He's got almost 60 points in 30 games. He's on fire, playing 23 minutes a game as a left winger. Just got a crazy ability to get open and shooting actually. So it's the definition of a sniper. So yeah, he's been a huge part of their success. And then they have the big 6'3" in real life. He's drafted like 6'3", and he's grown to 6'5", 220 almost in the game. He's got a point a game as a grueling 24-minute a game defenseman. So those two guys are really carrying a big load for that team. And then they got a couple nice 19-year-olds here, as you can see, as their next 4 best players. I have it sorted by ability or potential here. And then they got a nice 17-year-old here. I don't know who this is, Crocker. Looks like he was actually... I think there was a glitch in the game because I noticed a ton of the WHL players were cut first-round picks in real life, and they've landed in the OHL. So I think there was some kind of glitch out there or something. So that's unfortunate, but at least it gives a little bit more talent to our league because I don't think a lot of our guys have been cut. I think it might have something to do with in the game they're only 15 when they start, so maybe to cut the 50-man rosters, they were cutting too many of those young guys that had high potential but didn't have good current overalls. So anyways, that's the story of this season so far. I'm going to show you my roster. Really excited. We got Kingston's really good. They got Shane Wright. He's actually been injured like the whole year, and they're still 21-5, so that kind of shows their talent. He just made it back, it looks like. He's only played about 7 games, though. He's really good here. And they just have a loaded lineup. As you can see, they got a 10, 14 rated, 13 rated, 13 rated. Got some injuries right now, I think, but a couple really good defensemen here, 10 rated. So they've been tearing it up a little bit. So my team is really exciting. I've been really looking forward to this year for a while. Just having all these guys that have played significant minutes for a couple of years now. For whatever weird reason, the Frasca twins, for some reason their chemistry actually went down to great, even though they've been together. It was excellent last year, and they've still been in the same lines. I don't know what happened there, but it doesn't really matter. It's still great. It's weird though because it's Del Monte's and Piercy's and all those guys are actually excellent now, and for whatever reason, Clark and Del Monte will not get chemistry together. They have been first line center and first line right defenseman for 2 years now. They play together in the power play, play together in the first line, and they still aren't even at slight chemistry. So something interesting there. I guess it's some guys don't fit together primarily based off their styles or something. So, anyways, that's my lines right now. Piercy and we got Del Monte on the first line. Piercy's the 6'4". He's like kind of a two-way player, and then we got Del Monte, the setup man, and then the sniper Zarg. Zarg had a huge year last year, and he's tearing it up again this season. He's on pace for way more points than he was last year. Almost a goal a game type guy. Should be 40 goal scorer this season. He's got a wicked all around game. He can play center. I taught him. He started as a left winger, I think, and then I taught him center and then right wing. He's got just a wicked offensive profile. So he's up to 208 pounds, which is awesome. I think he started at like 160, so that's been one of the coolest weight gains I've seen, even though he hasn't gained a lot of height. I think he starts at 5'9", like 165 or 175 maybe. So that's been awesome. Also on the first line, we got the Piercy there I was going to show you. 6'4", 220. He's significantly improved in each of his seasons, which is really cool. In real life, he's 14 points there as a rookie. And then he stepped it up and got almost 40 points in 60 games there, my first season. And then the Memorial year, he was a wicked third line shutdown defender. Had the third line as heavy defense. So he had a plus 34, even though he only had 50 points. But yeah, he was amazing on that third line. Then he jumped up to a first line player this year, and he's getting over a point a game, 20 minutes a game. So it's really cool progression on his part. Really good all around player. Just has everything you look for at the OHL level. And I've been really happy with him. And then on the other first line, I guess I'll show you Del Monte. He's up to 5'11", 190, which is cool. He's got 45 points in 28 games, which is lighting it up. He's going to be, I think he must probably be in the race there for the all-time highest scoring Colt once next season's over. Probably beat Brian Little's record or whoever has that. And then we have, obviously, we want to highlight Frasca here. That's one of the main reasons I made this episode, is just how much of a tear he's been on. I need to kind of show it. He just keeps producing. He's got, I think, 25 goals, 25 games. Then he had a hat trick last game, and I was like, I just got to do an episode on him. His goal production has been ridiculous. He's the first line center on the power play, even though he's on the second line regularly with his brother, because I want to keep their chemistry together. And it doesn't really matter if it's first or second line. They both play like 17 minutes a game, so it's like 2 first lines. So the one line is, I would like to have Del Monte and Zarg, the sniper, and then the Piercy as the two-way player. The chemistry is good there, so you got like the setup, the scorer, and the defensive guy. And then the second line, I like, the reason I don't have Frasca in that first line is keep him with his brother. But so he's with his brother, who's like the grinder forechecker, and then he's a screener and like a finisher, and then I got the playmaker Forrester there with him. The reason I did that is because Forrester's back next year is no way with Frasca, so I planned that a couple years ago that they would have been able to play together for like 3 years and get chemistry, while those top guys would stick together and get chemistry. So I think maybe the last year, when his older brother's gone, I'll move Frasca up and Del Monte over the left wing, and then have Frasca, Del Monte, and Zarg on the same line, which will be unreal. And maybe set Del Monte a playmaker and the other two both to finishers, and just be a purely offensive line there. That would be insane if Clark was back and we had that line next year. So we'll see. But I kind of like having the spread out. It reminds me a lot of Crosby and Malkin. Really similar too, because not only just the idea of two centers, but a lot of similarities there. Like Del Monte is similar to, like, an OHL version, not saying they're as good, but an OHL version of Crosby, where he's like 5'11", he's a huge setup man, he's an unreal passer, just good all-around player. And then Frasca has a lot of similarities to Malkin, where he's like 6'4", Malkin's 6'3", big, huge, physical, dominant scorers, and also can pass and play defense. So just, it really reminds me of that. And I think that's what Pittsburgh did a lot of years in real life, is they had those guys in 2 separate lines, but then they play together in the power play. So as you can see on the power play here, we got Del Monte, Frasca. So he doesn't have to play his brother in power play. His brother's not much of a scorer. This first line power play plays 70% of the time. So I got Del Monte, Frasca, Zarg, and I moved Piercy to the point there, and then I got the quarterback there as Clark. So that power play has been deadly. And then the really cool thing about the brothers is, the reason Frasca just plays such an all-around game. This team is just a crazy load. Is he's number one. I figured with the high chemistry, it'd be so cool to have them as the 2 forwards on the penalty kill, because they're both long, physical guys, good defensive players. So I figured that'd be a really nasty power play shutdown unit with the 2 brothers' chemistry, and then having the 6'7" defenseman there. So, and then I have the 3-on-5. I just put the high energy 19-year-old and 20-year-old there as Duhart and Serpa, both 3rd and 4th line guys. So these Frasca brothers wouldn't kill themselves playing too many minutes. And Serpa's an awesome 19-year-old defensive 4th liner I traded for. It's probably too good for the 4th line, but he's just amazing. So I have a 14 rated guy in the 4th line, which is nasty. I really like that Swedish guy in the 3rd line, my Swedish import center. He's going to be a beast next year. And then I got 19-year-old Hughes I signed. And then I got the 20-year-old OA, Dalton Duhart. And then I got another 19-year-old I found, who was a Colts draft pick in real life in 2018, so 2017 maybe. I signed him as a 19-year-old, and then I got the 19-year-old trade for to play center in that 4th line. And the nice thing about Serpa is he can play all over the place. So he's played, when to injuries, he can move up and down, and just a really good penalty killer. So he's been really valuable. And then I got the 1st-round pick Kuhn on the 4th line there. It was just a young pup, hasn't really done much, but he had one good game with 4 points, 6'2", 165 pounds. I drafted him high because he had really good offensive ratings and decent leadership and all that. So I figured in a couple of years he'll be maybe similar to Piercy, like 6'4", maybe 200 pounds, have a nice 13, 12 rated stuff, and figured he'd be a nice all-around offensive winger in a couple of years. We'll see, though, if he develops. He hasn't really developed much this year so far, but we're only a few months in. And then I also I picked Wennerich really high, too. He was my 2nd-round pick, I think. So I got Wennerich, who I gave 99 to for some reason, like Gretzky. But he's, I almost picked him in the 1st round. I went with the other guy instead, and then luckily Wennerich was still here in the 2nd round. He's got nice hitting, good stamina. He's got really balanced overall game. So, and he's gained a bunch of weight and gained an inch of height already. He was 5'8", like 180 when I drafted him. So that was pretty cool. I think he'll be, hopefully, a really nice all-around player in a couple of years. So I try to stick. I just rotate Kuhn and Wennerich this year on the 4th line there, trying to get them both. some nice play time. Trying to make it really realistic, like real life. Have the first and second round picks always have to play each year. Keep that development going, even though I could easily have way better 19-year-olds there in the trades or whatever. So I was happy with that. And then the goalie situation has been pretty good. That was my first round pick from the first draft. He's developed okay. He was pretty much like 7 and everything. So that's kind of cool to see him go up a little bit. I think we'll plan for him to be an OA in a few years, so he still has a few years to start. He's had quite a bit of starts this year, but he's only 1 year behind this nice import goalie I got, who's really good. So this guy will be the starter for his 18, 19-year-old seasons. He's got 19 stamina, so he can actually play like every single game without getting tired, which is cool. But he's not really that much better than Sidiok, so I just kind of rotate him. But definitely in the playoffs, I think we'll just roll with Vigo here. If his stats are better, which they're better right now. He's got 887 save percentage, which is pretty good. So anyways, that's the team. I won't keep this episode too long. Just want to do a nice catch up, but I really just kind of want to talk about Frasca's season. 26 games and 51 points. He's a plus 25 already. He's got 28 goals in 26 games, so on pace for almost 70 goals this year if he stays healthy. So that'd be incredible. And you can see the progression here. Like, he was a beast even as a rookie. He had 22 goals. And then he really stepped up and won the Memorial Cup and was a dominant second-line player last year with 67 points, 30 plus minus. And then this year he's just taken it to a whole nother level. As, the best player in the league, and just a 6. And he grew to 6'4", which is really cool. He was 6'3" before. So he started the game at 6'3", 181. So that's been amazing. He's gained almost 30 pounds and grew an inch. So just a physically imposing player who's got awesome ratings across the board. I love that he's got really high ratings as like overall as like a power player, like a screener. He's got that shooting accuracy to finish, also the balance to stand in front of the net, big body. So just really reminds me of those power play centers, power forwards like Bertuzzi and those finishers like just sit in front of the net. So I've really, and the crazy thing is he didn't even get drafted, so he'll be back next season. So if he can score like 50 goals this year and come back again, his goals will just be insane. So him and Del Monte, the idea of them together next season would just be pretty disgusting. Zarg, let alone Zarg, who's also on pace to score almost 45 goals this season. So if we get Clark back next year, it could be a historical team. I'm not expecting. That's what I really didn't talk about is Clark. Not expecting Clark back next year. He's over a point a game defensive player. Just crazy. He won the MVP for the playoffs last season when we won the Memorial Cup, and then comes back and just got unbelievable offensive ratings. He's got 17 stamina too and 14 leadership, so just has the whole package, and his defense is slowly improving. He was a pretty average defender a couple years ago, and I'd say he's one of the better defenders now in the league, even though his ratings are pretty skewed towards offense. Actually, that's the one problem this year. If you look at his 81 offensive game average rating, but his 64 defense, so that's pretty. I know I have it set kind of to offense, so I don't know if it's partly because of that or he's just playing bad in defense. He is a better offense player, like his ratings, so it kind of makes sense. But it would be nice to see him come back to 19-year-old and be one of the best defensemen of all time in the OHL, and really improve his defense and just be a dominant two-way player instead of just a really dominant offensive player. Anyways, that's it for this episode. I'll just check back after we get to January, February probably, and do one, maybe just a pre-playoff one, and then probably another one for the playoffs. The other thing I didn't really show you is I do have a nice defense core too. I got Shreddle, who I'm playing to get back to no A next season, kind of take over that number one defenseman mantle if Clark doesn't come back. He's got an amazing all-around game. Really like him, so that'd be wicked. And then we also picked up a really nice acquisition last year, Declan Ride. He's only 18, 6'4", 220 with a really good offensive rating. So it's just his defense has to improve, and I'm planning to get him back to no way in 2 years. So next year Shreddle will be the OA, and then Declan will probably be the number 2 if we're going to do the assumption that Clark's not back. And then the year after that, Declan will be that nice 20-year-old overager at 6'4", like 230. So that'd be really cool. And then on the left side, we got the smaller guys. We got the big 6'7" guy in the first line with Clark, the OA, and then we have that's where they're just a little bit weak this season. Got a couple small guys there. Chase Cook, a nice offensive player, and decent skater there. He's the guy that's been on the second unit defense. And then Trotter just came back from an injury, but he's played quite a bit this season. He's more of an all-around player. He's only 17, so he has a couple years left. He'll be a key cog in 2 years. And then we have this nice guy that we drafted in the 5th round this season, who is actually, I know you got to get used to the low ratings for the young guys, but kind of like his game because he's a good passer, but he's also got good defensive positioning and checking. So stick checking and stuff. So he's just like a kind of small, feisty little guy, but he's got a decent all-around game and some good overall ratings and mental ratings and stuff, temperament and stuff. So I think he'll develop into probably always be a nice like number 3 defenseman, and just kind of like a decent all-around player, not great at any specific category, but hopefully he grows a little bit. But yeah, we didn't have a lot of depth at defense, so he's actually been playing a decent amount of minutes. And then I think that's it for everybody. I didn't show you Forrester yet. Forrester's got a nice, really balanced all-around game. Him and Piercy are going to be the OAs next year with that defenseman Shreddle. So we'll have nice first line. Sorry, he'll be back, and then we'll see what we'll do with him, because if Frasca moves up to that first line, Forrester actually might play center next year because he's still trained there. He's a really nice defensive player too, so that's probably what will happen. I actually have the depth charts down here if you look. We got for next season, I guess I was planning to keep Frasca in the second line, but I probably will move him up, move Del Monte left wing, and I'll probably move Piercy and Forrester back together, the original 2017 draftees or whatever, 2018. And then, yeah, I'll probably have them in the wings and Pierce in the middle, and then we'll probably move Frasca to the first line, Del Monte in the left wing. So that's probably what will happen. And then we'll have, maybe be worth getting that Swedish guy in the top 6, though. He's really good. I didn't show you him. That's the last thing I'll do for you in this video is I'll show you a person there. He's really nasty, too. He's got 6 foot, 200-pound frame. He's got really good defensive ratings, 14 rated stick checking and 12 defensive reads as an 18-year-old. So he'll be really, really nice next year especially, and he's got really good skating. He'll be like the best skater in the team next year next to Del Monte and Clark. And then he's got really good shooting accuracy, so he's got a really nice all-around game. He'd be a really nice number 1 center in most teams. So it'd be, I guess, yeah, the more I think about it, he really has to be in the top 6 next year. We'll find some room. Right now, he's just the ideal third-line center, really good defensive player. Also got a bunch of offensive weapons, so that's why the team's doing solid this year. It's got those 3 really good lines to roll through. Because him and Duhart are such good overall players on that third line there. Duhart's such a nice defensive player too. So the offense has just been going crazy on those first 2 lines. The more I think about it, I'll probably actually start giving that third line a little bit more minutes and really just pump down those fourth line minutes, because that third line's actually really good too. That's what we'll do here. Oh, I already did that. Okay. For a while, I had it 17, 17, 13, 13. So I already did think of that, actually. I'm just going to go all the way up to 16 for them, because that line's really good. So yeah, fourth lines are really struggling with young guys. They do have Serp in the middle, but those wingers are just pretty weak ratings. So those top 3 lines are just so much better. So that's what we'll do, and see if we can upgrade the team a little bit at trade deadline. I've had a really tough time in trades. They just don't seem to value second round picks in the game at all. So can't really get anything without giving up some really good players. So we'll see what we can do. Anyways, that's it. Thanks.